Hey, folks, welcome to Inside Arm Wrestling, the home for all news on arm wrestling, fitness, strength, and fitness competitions. Folks, we got a topic today that's a pretty cool topic, and it really is a topic about ratings. I think ratings are something that's a very useful tool in sports. We rate everything from who's the most prolific quarterback passer of all time, yardage, touchdowns, who's run the most yards as a running back, who's hit the most home runs, who has scored the most points, who has lifted the most weight, who has won the most Mr. Olympias. So rating systems and accumulating systems are have been around for a long time. They're universal. They're a universal need. And I want to talk about the AERS system that Corey Miller put together for the world of arm wrestling and really where it's at and how to use it and what does it mean. So as we go into Google, I searched up AERS arm wrestling, typed it in, came up with the website. It's comes up with a few different entries for it. Says that it's compiled 15,434 pullers over 115,152 matches from 947 tournaments. That's a lot of statistic, folks. Put that into perspective. That in itself, if for someone to sit down and really to input that information, because it has to be inputted, or create a program that has some sort of AI to it that allows for the input to happen more naturally, which we all know in the world of arm wrestling, AERS as a bracket system has really become the standard. So kudos to Corey out there. And I believe Bob Brown is also part of this. I'm not really sure who all of the founders of AERS are, but Corey Miller is certainly the forefront person when it comes to AERS. But if we go into the AERS website, which is a pretty cool website, he actually gives an about page, and it says AERS, or American ELO Rating System, is a rating system that takes into consideration all matches data, including tournaments, round robins, and super matches. And then it goes on to explain the math, acknowledgments. They have Corey Miller and Frank Callahan for bringing life diversion. So Frank, kudos to you. My ignorance did not mean to leave you out. I had no idea that you were the other individual in that system. So Frank Callahan and Corey Miller. Frank has engineered the AERS server, which is no simple feat. He must be one of these techie gurus. It's certainly another epiphany for me. So Frank, that's awesome. I think that the system itself is a really valuable tool for all of arm wrestling. So that's a little bit about the about. And I wanted to go into the current standings, folks, because I think with any ranking system, it's really cool and interesting to see how a computerized format ranks and really based off of quantitative data and really put a value on who's out there. So I'm going to go into the current standings, which is always where everybody wants to know where they are, right? So as I pull up the main screen on my computer, for the first 13, at least on my laptop, I think, or on my desktop, I think on my phone it actually gave me the first 15. But I want to go through some of the rankings. And folks, what we really want you to do is comment. Do you think that these rankings are accurate? I mean, and if they're not accurate, how do you think that the accuracy of this program can be improved? Now, to me, data is the the above all wherewithal. It does not take into consideration human factors of the day. Sometimes you're sick. Sometimes you're not, feeling up to speed. Sometimes, folks, you just missed on your cycle. There's plenty of guys out there that are taking all kinds of different, as they call it, quote unquote, pancakes, And just sometimes that cycle just doesn't peak when you want it to, and you're not feeling as strong as you think you should. But let's get into the open right 242 and really just the open right class as I kick around here a little bit because I think it's fun. In the open right 242 in the AERS system, John Brzenk is the number one arm wrestler in that class. He has 1,892.47 rating points, followed by Corey West, Wayne Withers, Ron Bath, Michael Todd, Steve Walker, Brent Rockers, Cody Merritt, Brad Grundy, BJ Frakakis, Chance Shaw, Ben Brooks, and Nathan McCallan. So, when we look at the Open 242, and we take a unique perspective because I've seen a lot of these arm wrestlers arm wrestle in person, and I've had the chance and opportunity to pull some of these guys, which I can tell you on the first 13 and probably 1,300 I won't beat. But anyway, I think that there's some interesting value to this. Steve Walker out of New York, New Jersey area, who's been in the arm wrestling game for a long time, he ranks 6th, but not so unrecently in last year at the regional in Virginia for World Series of Arm Wrestling, Paul Cruz actually beat Steve pretty convincingly on the table. But if I look at Paul Cruz, or I look for Paul Cruz, he is down at the 41st position. So what this ranking to me shows is that ranking is maybe more based upon activity with the AERS, more so than actual results. In a ranking system, I think it would be fair to say that Paul Cruz would not be 41st with wins over multiple players. Danny Gillian is in 38th place. I don't think Danny Gillian is going to beat Derek Smith at 35th, so that's kind of inaccurate. I think Danny might have a little problem with Paul Cruz. Paul's a bigger, stronger, younger puller. Danny's a great puller, but I don't know in a 242 class, Danny Gillian is really an entity, if you will. I don't know how many times he's pulled 242 in the last 2 years, unless, of course, he's pulling in a master's class, which is 211 plus. But Danny Gillian is 38th. Paul Cruz is 41st, which is a very odd number for Paul. But if you look at Derek Smith, after a big win on the world stage, I think it would be hard to believe that he only ranks 35th right now in any ranking system. But to be fair, if this is based upon activity and point accumulation, the ranking systems will most likely favor the active arm wrestler over the stronger or more prolific at the time arm wrestler. I think Corey West probably is number 2 to John Brzenk, not because of any other value, but I believe John beat Corey in the last super match between the two of them. So it would be hard for someone to say Corey would be better than John, albeit I think Corey has progressed quite a bit since the last time he pulled John. However, I won't argue with that. I think it's fun to discuss. And I don't know that there's really any arguments, folks. I think what I should say is I don't know if I have a dissenting opinion with that. But I think it's fun. I think it's fun to look at this. If you jump down to the 242 open right, so that would be anyone under 242. Man, I can't say Pavlo's last name very well, so excuse me, Pavlo. But he is ranked higher than John Brzenk, which would make really an interesting conversation, because if John is the best 242er in the rankings and Pavlo is the best open 242 and under, how is John less? And why is John's points a point less, or 0.7 of a point less on the 242 class, unless they're ranking a cumulative value of pulls under 242 and then a cumulative value of pulls over 242? It's an odd system, folks. It really is. I mean, it certainly leads to great discussions, and I like the value and the fact that goes into great discussions. You've got a Jordan Sill in the Open 242. You've got an Eric Wolf in Open 242. If you look down, you got Marcio Barboza. I'm not quite sure Marcio Barboza is a number 10. I don't know that to be an accurate placement for him. Again, Michael Todd. Michael Todd's a world stage puller. They have him number 15. They only have him number 5 in the open right. So Michael, as a 242 puller, according to the rankings, if the rankings were accurate, would be at a disadvantage to pull everyone from Andrew Candell up to Pablo. He would have a hard day winning, according to rankings. And I think there's a predictability of value that Corey and Frank are trying to stress, that the model predicts the winners at a very accurate rate. But I wonder how that model works with what I'll call the top 3% or 10% of the ranking systems, if it's really accurate. Jumping down to the Open 220, I think Brent Rockers is a solid number 1. I don't know that there's really anyone out there that's more solid in the 220 class than Brent Rockers. You've got a Craig Toulier in there. I think Craig is probably more of a 198er. He might be the most elite 198 out there. Jordan Sill finds himself in the number 7 position. Artem out of Florida, Tarenko, is in number 8. Todd Hutchings. See, this is where these rankings really become a bit of subjectivity. I don't think that anyone on this list beats Todd Hutchings. Plain and simple. I mean, after Todd's recent win, at East versus West, and now him calling out Devin Lorette, thinking he has a value to win, I really don't know that Todd Hutchings is number 9 in the 220 class. That's a hard pill to swallow. But it's a fun system, folks. And I got to tip my hat to Frank and to Corey. And I think Bob does have a value in this as well. It does give a little bit of a value to who's out there. And I think that that's important. Who's on these lists, who are competing, where do they stand? And folks, I know what all of you guys are asking right now. Where does the dad from Beat My Grandpa rate in this system? Well, let me tell you something, folks. I will begrudgingly put in Greg Sharp. And just off the top, the first Greg, Gregg, is at 434, and it's not Greg Sharp. It's Rodney Gregg. So right now, it doesn't look good for me. Let's put Greg Sharp in. Let's see how accurate these rankings are. At 1,043, just above Harold Ryden, Greg Sharp pulls in at the Open 242. Just a little bit. Oh, this is open right. Just on open left, I'm at 899. So I have broken the top 900, folks. Watch out, number 898, Jacob Torres. Don't know who you are, but the system says that we are less than a point apart. And on the right side, Michael Nance, again, we are super close, my friend. Looks like 2.21 difference between. I haven't pulled open right 242 in a long time, or open left 242. But in the most prolific jump, in a weight class that I have never been, I rank in the open 187 on the left hand, number 266. So I'm not quite sure the last time I hit 187 pounds was, but that might have been my 7th grade weight. At that time, those rankings have accumulated for me to be the number 266 best AERS open left-handed puller. I'll tell you what, folks, you better be careful. If I go on a serious diet between now and the end of the year, I might find myself in that open 187. But who knows, folks? At the end of the day, the purpose of this Inside Arm Wrestling edition was to really bring you bring some awareness to the AERS system and the fact that it's a fun system, folks. Find your name in it, go through it, figure out where you rate, call out a couple of people above you, a couple of people below you, have some fun with it, because at the end of the day, arm wrestling is a fun sport, and if that's that's the least you could take out of it, man, you're doing really good. So that does it again, folks, for another Inside Arm Wrestling News Report. This has been Greg Sharp reminding you to train hard, pull smart, lift safe, and enjoy your week. Folks, if you like these stories and you want to see more, please hit the like button and subscribe to our page. Also hit the notification bell underneath the video so that way you're notified every time a new video comes out. And if you're on social media, specifically Instagram, go to the World Series of Arm Wrestling Instagram page. Please follow it. We'll try to follow you back, but it'll keep you up to date with all of the news and events in the world of arm wrestling.